Okay, what's good, everyone? It's your boy GD, the sports actor, and we're going to get right into it. So, the New York Giants had faced the Houston Texans on Saturday in a preseason matchup in Houston, and it was an interesting game. First off, we'll start off that we did lose that game 28-10, and it's a preseason game, and we have to remember preseason games are games so that we can test new things and we can see how we can earn roster spots. I mean, that's straight and simple what it is. It's tryout still. It's still trying to tweak a few things. But we were able to see our first team offense and first team defense in this preseason matchup. And we didn't get to see that last week. Last week we saw, Danny DeVito take over most of that. And we also did see Drew Lock also play a little bit of that portion as well. But we were able to see Daniel Jones get out there this time around. Daniel Jones with our new weapon, Malik Neighbors. And I would say that I'd give this matchup, this preseason game, to a C. I'd give it a C minus, because I'm not going to say that I saw anything necessarily too bad. I mean, we did see some atrocious things that we're going to talk about: interceptions, some fumbles, some missed tackles, and other things that do need to get cleaned up for sure. But I can attest that there's definitely improvement that needs to be talked about, needs to be praised from teams built of the past when it comes to the Giants, especially the last 5 years. I mean, if we're going to talk about it, DJ literally has everything that he needs surrounding him to be successful. I mean, if you're talking about the excuses that he might have had, yes, there were things that were lacking as an offensive line, maybe a wide receiver one, some consistency with the coaching. There's none of those excuses now. None of those excuses exist anymore, because as we saw in this preseason game, the Giants have definitely improved, and Joe Shane and Brian DeBole have done an amazing job. I mean, coach has really put together, from what I've seen, even through a vanilla type of offense, because we're going to be seeing a lot more things, a lot more motions, probably a lot more trick plays, just a lot more strategic plays. I believe we're going to be seeing a lot of those, but right now we're just trying to build a bit more chemistry. We're testing out the playbook and just making sure that we can refine a few things. But let's get right into it. I mean, the game starts off, with the Giants almost throwing an interception, and that's unfortunate that the game basically has to start like that. I believe on that play was almost picked off by Derek Stingley Jr. And even on that play, I thought that maybe Malik Neighbors could have played maybe a little bit more aggressively. I believe the ball was going to him, and I felt like that ball could have been avoided, even almost getting picked off. But at the end of the day, Daniel Jones has to put that ball in a better position to not get picked off. And so dealt with that leading the game, but it was really nice to see that the long balls. I mean, we had on a 3rd and 6 a Neighbors would have been a complete catch over in the corner. He had beat the defender, had a little pocket there, and tried to catch it with one hand and failed to do so. I mean, with that one there, it has to be a two-hander. I understand we want to get flashy, that Neighbors has a lot of skill and he can make those one-handed catches, but the game is just starting. You're building a little bit of confidence. You're just testing some things out. It's a 3rd and 6. You want to complete this so we can push for that first down. Let's catch it with two hands. But then again, DJ could have also been a little bit more accurate with the ball and thrown it a little bit earlier. If the ball had gotten there sooner, he wouldn't have, had to outstretch or contour the body to the point where the pass became difficult. And so DJ has to clean that up for sure. From what I also saw in the first half, and we're just going to talk about it, I mean, Banks looked like he was struggling a little bit against Nico Collins especially. We have to clean that up. I mean, Banks is our cornerback one, and he did well last year. I mean, I trust Banks. I really do. But because of what we're lacking right now on the other side, and we saw that, with Flott out, McLeod didn't really do too well. Herndon, it just looked atrocious out there. We really need to rely on at least one of these receivers getting shut down. I felt like the Texans were just utilizing a lot of their options at the receiver position. I mean, guys were catching the ball all over the place from CJ Stroud, and that needs to be cleaned up. And a big part of that mission is Deonte Banks. He's also, he's a leader when it comes to the secondary and what happens back there in that backfield. I mean, of course, you're playing, man on man, one on one most of the time, probably some zone coverage, things like that. But I mean, we rely on you to be dependable when it comes to some of these bigger receivers, some of these one-on-one matchups, and we need shutdowns. Nico Collins seemed to just have his way. And yes, I will say that, in that particular play, I believe it was maybe a third down, some good coverage, but you got pushed. You got pushed off, and it was a pretty big push, and nothing was called. I mean, we were in Houston. It seemed like the refs were making it a point to please the crowd, throughout this game. This was one instance for sure, but even if you're getting pushed, man, you can't let that happen. You got to dig in the ground. You gotta be there to disrupt that play. Yeah, you were there to recover and participate in the tackling, which was great. But, bro, you definitely can't get pushed like that. And you got to be a lot stronger. The defensive line, I thought that we did well. I would have liked to see a lot more pressure. Given on Stroud. I felt like he was pretty relaxed in his pocket and, made some pretty good throws on the outside. Through the middle, and you do that with having time. And so I really think that in terms of putting pressure up to the quarterback, we just really have to get there. I thought that Brian Burns looked good, Kayvon Thibodeau looked good, and this is definitely preseason, so maybe they just weren't, putting 100% into it. But I thought it was good, and I really love to see Sexy Dexy just looking like the captain and looking like the defensive the leader that he is, just batting down that pass on a 4th and goal. That was very awesome to see. Houston went for it, trying out some new things, and I think, if Sexy Dexy's hand wasn't there, there was an opportunity there for a receiver who was coming in what looked like on a slant. He looked like he had the inside there. So just just aware, big hands, batted down the ball, and it was just great to see, the offense coming back on. Unfortunate, right, after that happens, unfortunate to see Daniel Jones throws an interception. And this time, this interception went to Jalen Petrie. Should have thrown it at Theo Johnson's feet. It looked like that's where he was trying to go with it. Maybe should have thrown it out of bounds. Maybe even get the safety, for the 2 points. But a pick six after something that happened so gloriously on defense on the defensive end, and for that to happen from what looked like maybe a play action, DJ could have rolled out, looked like he had some space, and he's a fast guy, so I was expecting that maybe he could have beat that defender there, but he just seemed to pump fake, tucked it back in, and that pump fake and tuck is what led him to not have many more options after that, and he just threw a wild ball, stayed in the air, and just an interception, a bad interception, just horrible to see. And you saw that he himself was pretty upset about it as he just, laid there, threw his head back, and was just like, oh, God. And, let's get those things out early. I'm not going to be too tough on him because this was his first game back after 9 months, tearing that ACL. This was DJ's first game back, and I thought that he showed, he looked good personally. I thought that he moved into the pocket well, and it was just a thing about maybe just getting some rust out, and that's good. That's what these preseason games are for. So, good to see that. Of course, you don't want to see a interception, a pick six at that, but definitely something that's fixable, as well as the other interception that was thrown. So, and let's lead right into that. I mean, the other interception that was thrown, Jalen Hyatt, what looks like he was going on a long go route, and the ball just gets intercepted because DJ throws the ball on the inside rather than the outside, which probably would have worked out a lot better and led to maybe a touchdown or the ball, taken out of bounds at the 5. So there's what I truly appreciated, though, is that we're airing the ball up. You can see with the New York Giants that the offense isn't as stale. We're not just going to sit back and rely on just, the running back position and coming out of there to get yardage. And we look great, by the way, at the running back position. I thought Singletary did an awesome job. I really do. I really think that Singletary stepped up. He looks solid. He's shifty and really got us yards when we needed them and then some. Of course, I'd love to see, and I'm excited for when Tyron Tracy comes back, maybe this next preseason matchup against the New York Jets, he'll be ready to go and rested after having that low ankle sprain. But for now, I do like Singletary. I like Eric Gray, who came in and showed some spark these past 2 preseason games. And I really think that the New York Giants are moving back to having a situation to where we have multiple running backs who are able to do the job. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. And I thought that we did great. But it's nice to see that we also are getting an air game going. The middle of the field, the ball was moving through the air on the sidelines and going towards our main receivers, our tight ends, and the ball's being moved around, which is what we need to see. And why is the ball being moved around? Again, offensive line. The offensive line is killing it and giving Daniel Jones time to throw in the pocket. And it was great to see the catch by DJ. From DJ to Slay, which was just an incredible catch down the sideline. Took the ball to, I believe it was almost the 2. I thought, maybe should have counted as a touchdown in New York at our own stadium. Probably would have, but we were in Houston and they said he was didn't quite make it into the end zone. It was down at the 2, so ran it in with Singletary. Nice little bunny hop into the end zone, which was pretty awesome. But I will say, the ball is being aired out, and that's what we want to see with the New York Giants. Okay, we want to see the ball just. That's all we want to hear all game, just the ball whizzing through the air, and I feel like we're moving in that direction. So I'm pretty excited about that as well. As we move towards the game, and this was, all happening in the first half. The game was busy with the starters in the first half, and DJ stayed throughout, even through all the interceptions, the struggles that he was going with. DJ went out there and balled out for the first half, which showed resiliency. So I really love that. If we're looking at the defense, I will say that Trey Hawkins III struggled a lot. Henderson struggled a lot as well. We cannot have that happen. Trey Hawkins was missing tackles on cutback runs from the running back, who shifted and went completely to the other direction. You're supposed to be the cutoff guy, and you just miss a tackle, and he just gains the first down and then some. Cannot happen. Henderson just getting burnt by every wide receiver that the Texans were throwing at him, and that just cannot happen. I mean, something really has to be looked at when it comes to the secondary of the New York Giants. Flott either has to come back into the game, or we really need to do do our due diligence and see if it's worth it to go bring Adoree Jackson back, because at this point, Stephon Gilmore gone. We're not going after Simmons or making any acquisitions like that. The best person to bring in that we can probably afford, that knows already the defense somewhat, and that would, knows the chemistry of the team, would probably be at this point Adoree Jackson. Otherwise, I really don't know who's going to step up in this I mean, Drew Phillips is really doing a great job, but we're talking about cornerbacks. I really don't know who's going to step up between, Trey Hawkins III, Nick McLeod, or, Trey Herndon. But somebody definitely has to come into this game and really just do something. I'm trying to root for Trey Hawkins III, but you're making it hard for me, buddy. You're making it hard. You really are. And like I said, Herndon, man, all I saw was just your hair, the back of your. I know your name so much because of how you were just getting burnt. I was looking at the back of your jersey just so much. Your hair was flapping all over the place, and I was really just squinting to see who the hell was getting burnt like that. And it was you. So that needs to be cleaned up. Also, the middle of the field, I don't know what was going on with the linebacker core today, but to see Schultz just having his way in the middle of the field, I just don't like it. And the defense has to clean that up. Seriously. We cannot have tight ends just running through the middle of the field, just gaining these huge chunks of yards. We're talking about chunks in the middle of the field and draining momentum, because at this point, we're still close. We're still sending Houston back. The defense is playing well. I'm not going to say the defense didn't have, a good game in the first half. We're still playing well at this point in the first quarter, and we just lose momentum because we're just allowing things to happen and allowing the momentum to be sucked away. So we definitely have to clean that up for sure. And like I said, a lot of airy passes, which needed to happen. That was a game plan going into this one for Brian DeBold to test the ball through the air and for the players to really see that we can change our offense up. And it's not only a run game with the New York Giants. We're going to test the ball. We have players who can make catches. Between Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hyatt, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Darius Slayton, that is a great wide receiver room. And go ahead and throw Theo Johnson into the mix as well. Isaiah Hodgins, definitely an honorable mention. He stepped up, did his thing. You had Eric Gray looking great in the backfield with Singletary. Tommy DeVito, great backup, who I definitely think should be our quarterback too. Just going to put that out there again. I know we went and got Drew Lock, but it's not like we got Drew Lock for a whole bunch of money. I really think that Tommy DeVito would be a great option there. And sorry, Tommy, I know I realized earlier in the video I said Danny DeVito. I was mixing you and Jones, and all love, baby. All love, my boy. All love. And so, yeah, I think, after that game, from what I saw, we have to clean up the tackles. I think Daniel Jones did great for, 9 months out of the game, going back into a live action with a good Houston Texans team. And I think that he did well. A few little rust mistakes here and there between interceptions and bad decisions, but those things can be cleaned up. And I'd like to say to the wide receiver room, we have an offensive line. Okay, Singletary was using it from the backfield. You need to use it. We have an offensive line that can give Daniel Jones more than 2 seconds, clean pockets, get open faster. It's that simple. And so I really think that, this was a good preseason game to have. Definitely pushed us, tested us after having that success against the Detroit Lions, who did happen to beat Kansas City. So this is just preseason, okay? This is just preseason. And I think that we made some improvements. So the next matchup is going to be on Saturday, 7:30 Eastern Standard, 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. New York Giants facing the New York Jets. Who's running New York this season? Who's the king of New York? It's always the Giants. Jets are little bro in this situation. Always will be. But like I said, got some improvement. We'll see what we decide to do in terms of starting for this next preseason game. I really wouldn't advise anything really too much past the first quarter. I really think that, we should get those guys out there for sure so we can continue to refine a few things, get that rust off after that 9 months. But after the first quarter, we bubble wrap them and get our starters ready for week 1, and we give the opportunity throughout the whole rest of the game for the guys trying to earn spots get opportunities to get spots. So, let's go blue. We're getting closer. It's getting even more exciting. And the New York Giants, we're looking good, okay? At a C-, a C is better than what we had produced last season, and we are improving. This season, this game is all about progress, and then you make it to the playoffs, and guess what? It's 0-0 in the playoffs, okay? So let's just get there, and we are. So let's go Blue. Let's go Giants. This is your boy, GD, the sports actor.